good, guys? My name is Just Shane, and thanks for tuning in. Hope that you're having a fantastic Wednesday, whether it's a good morning or a good night or a good morning, whenever you're watching this. I hope it's just good. It's just good. Sorry, I didn't post anything on Monday. I've been swamped these last couple of days, and I've actually been up since 6:15 this morning working on stuff, and it's about 11 o'clock now. So I'm actually getting a lunch break to pump some veggies in me so I can go do some more homework. But it's been productive. It's been really good. It's been really good. So I'm actually waiting on my lunch to cook. I'm having hobo meal for lunch. And if you don't know what hobo meal is, which a lot of people don't because my wife and I made it up, it's basically whatever you have that you can throw into a pot and let it boil and just let it do its own thing and eat it. That's a hobo meal. So the first night that my wife and I were together alone in our apartment, was we had hobo meal, and we had potatoes, cabbage, onions, mushrooms, and whatever else we had in the fridge, and we threw it in a pot or a pan, cooked it up, and it was amazing. It was so good. So I have hobo meal sometimes, just whatever. It was like I didn't really feel like going out or buying anything. I bought breadsticks yesterday, so that's probably where my money went. But I don't know. But yeah, so that's what I'm having. And so while I'm waiting on that, I thought I would talk to you guys real quick about something that I wanted to talk about on Monday, but I didn't get to. So I mentioned in one of the videos last week that I was working on a project that I was 1/3 of the way done. That was wrong. I'm actually 2/3 of the way done instead of 1/3. But it's something that I've been working on since September, and it's taking a little bit longer than I hoped because I've just been busy with school. Haven't really had time to really work on it. And I'm going to talk about this whole idea that's connected with fan fiction. Now, this is, again, another really nerdy thing that's really hard for me to talk about, but it's just something that I felt compelled to want to talk about, because I know that people have some sort of storytelling element. Us as human beings, we're designed to tell stories. If you were to tell me about your day, you're going to tell it in a story-like form, and that's just how we do things. So with fan fiction is that I don't even like calling it fan fiction. I just like telling a good story, but that's how people would know what it is. It's taking an idea that already belongs to somebody and writing your own version of it, and it belongs to you. So that's the project that I've been working on. I've been actually working on two, but one of them I've been more focused on, which is this sort of the story idea of taking these Nintendo characters, like from Super Smash Brothers or Super Mario, Donkey Kong, etc., and putting them in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, almost, and mashing up the two. I was inspired by this idea by other videos on YouTube and looking up pictures up on Google of Super Smash Brothers Avengers or something like that. And it came up, and it was like this image of like the Marvel, like the Avengers poster, but with Nintendo characters instead. And I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh, that makes me think of a story. So I got inspired to sort of write the story. And then like this tiny little thing that I've created sort of began to grow, and it became a monster. Because whenever you tell a story, it becomes a monster of its own. And so that's just sort of what happened. So I was like, why are they fighting the bad guy? Who is the bad guy? What exactly is going on? Why are these characters, not 4, but 7 characters, are having problems with one another? So I have to start all the way from the beginning and put Nintendo characters into place of the Marvel characters. So like my Iron Man was Mario, Incredible Hulk was Donkey Kong, Legend of Zelda was Thor, and Samus was except for my Captain America. And then you put those characters together and they become something else. So I wrote the phase 1 of the Marvel universe, and then I worked on phase 2. So much like Marvel has their own TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, etc., I put other Nintendo characters into the same storyline so that they would all connect together into the final plot, which is in phase 3, which I'm starting hopefully soon. And there will actually be a link in the description below where you could find all of these stories, because the way that I wrote, and I'll tell how I wrote them too, so you can look at those and everything, and enjoy those, whatever I wrote. I didn't really write them for anybody. I kind of wrote them for me. And that's the cool thing about fan fiction, is that you write it for yourself. It becomes canon to you. It becomes something that you're inspired by another character or another product or another whatever, and you become inspired to do it. And I think it's actually very important that we should write stories like that. We should tell fan fiction. We should tell stories, because us as human beings, we have a story to tell, and we're inspired to do so. So I'll answer a bit of questions. Go through why I write stuff, why I enjoy writing, why I write stories like that, and then why you should do it as well. So as a creator, as a creator of your own, you are making something that already belongs to somebody, as I've said, and it becomes yours. You're not really changing anything, you're not plagiarizing, but you're just saying, I think this character would fit in this perspective if this thing were to happen, and in my mind they would be doing this. So for another example, I rewrote the ending to Iron Man 3 on my own. I didn't really like the ending. I didn't like how the Mandarin was portrayed. Well, I liked how he was portrayed by Ben Kingsley, but I wasn't happy with how that he was a fictional, like he was just an actor. So I changed it up and I rewrote things, and it became mine. It became my idea. So in my mind, the story became better. In my mind, it did. You're adding appreciation to the character. You are saying something like, I really like this idea, I really enjoy it, and I'm going to, and I want to use it somehow. It's the same way as people doing fan art. They appreciate the character, and they are inspired to make it their own in some sort of way. So either drawing it in your own style, which you totally should, or doing a combination. So say like Ninja Turtles in the 1950s, or Star Wars in I don't know, 2018 or something like that, something like that. So you're taking, an idea or a character or a product, and you're putting an idea on top of it, and you're making it your own, and you should totally do that. So, like with the next art sketchbook that I'm gonna present here in the probably next week or so, there's some different elements like that as well. So you're appreciating the character, you're making it your own, and you're practicing your skills as a storyteller. We all have a story to tell, and we are inspired to tell stories, and that we should do it often. As creators or being creative people, we should practice storytelling. We tell stories all the time, and whether or not we're telling fan fiction or not, we have some sort of element to which we tell a story. We tell a narrative. So if you're taking a product, much like fan art or whatever, and you're rewriting a story to making it your own, you're telling a story that fits. So my Nintendo Cinematic Universe, I'm writing a story that I want to tell. And how I tell that is through scripts, like trailer scripts. So a few years ago, when the Doctor Strange movie came out, I had a really funny idea to make it into not just Doctor Strange, but change it to a Christian idea called Pastor Strange. It's really silly, but I changed it up, and I wrote it like if it was a script for a movie. Only it was just a trailer. It was only little snippets of what the movie was going to be like. So I thought, hey, I could do the same idea with the Marvel trailers, because the Marvel trailers themselves are good. So I was like, well, why don't I watch the trailer, write a script based off the trailer, and then put Nintendo characters into that script, and it works. And that's just the way that I've done it throughout that project. So, but you're practicing your skills as a storyteller, and we should be doing that all the time. We should be telling stories through our creative arts. So if you look at a picture like a painting or a drawing, you are seeing a story there. Even if it's just a little sketch, you can see some sort of story is being told in your mind. You can sort of like, well, that's really cool, because then what if it was like this? What if it was like that? So if you were to look at a picture of Spider-Man swinging through the city, you have some sort of story in your mind. Where is he going? What is he doing? What is going to happen next? So you're putting those elements together. You're creating a story of your own, and you're practicing your skills. And it helps you write a story of your own. You are practicing your skills to help write a story of your own. So I've got a couple of personal projects like Dalton Chase and the Elementary School of Doom, that whole series that I want to do. With writing fan fiction, that's sort of me practicing, exercising my skills and my talents and those muscles to like you're working out those muscles the same way with art, or the same way with writing. You are practicing, you're working in order to create stories of your own. So, and I think that's really cool, and when anybody should do that. And I find it so supportive that you should practice telling other stories before writing on working on your own stories. So, like when you're a kid, or you play with dolls or action figures or what have you, and you tell a story of your own. So I had action figures, and I would create stories. I would create movies of my own with my little action figures. So. Like I had an Incredible Hulk, but I didn't have a Bruce Banner, so I had to use a G.I. Joe for my Bruce Banner, and it became, I was able to make a story. I had all 4 of the Fantastic Four action figures, so I made a Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men, etc., etc. So you create stories of your own, and then you begin building structures that part of the brain. You begin putting structures together that help create the story, the beginning, the middle, the climax, the end, or the twist. And so do that often. So even if it's just like you're not even going to publish it, or if you're not going to post it on a blog like I do, if you're just writing it in a journal, you're writing a little story, do that often. You should do it regularly. Write a story of your own so that you can be a better storyteller. Storytelling helps, I think, in almost any profession that you really look at. Some sort of story is being told. With me specifically in ministry, storytelling helps me tell parables. It helps me tell illustrations on how to connect a message. And I can even look at the Bible as itself as a narrative, because I know how a story is framed out. It's like, oh, that makes sense because this piece connects with that piece, and it becomes a story within its own. So yeah. So yeah, that's just the reasons why I write fan fiction, and why you should too. So tell your story. If you have a story to tell and not confident in it, that's okay. It's okay to be a little weak in some areas. That's where you can make those areas strong. If you're not confident in telling a story, don't worry about that. Just write it anyway. It becomes yours. You're not going to get those voices out until you write them out. I was watching the movie Anonymous, and it was about the conspiracy of William Shakespeare, writing his own play or not. And the character, the Duke of Scott, the Duke of Ellington, I don't remember. Anyway, so he said something. He said, the voices won't leave until I write them out. And I don't remember the whole quote itself, but I thought that was so fascinating. Like the voices, and it makes sense. You have a story sort of planted in here that you have to get out. And I've written crappy stories, and I've published crappy stories, but those stories still got in anyway, and they're not eating at me. They're not there anymore. They're now out there in the world. And I've written them, and I've gotten them out, and I'm sort of proud. Although they're not very good, I'm sort of proud that I got that story out. So write your story, whatever it is that you have. Write a story. Tell your story, whether it's through narrative or through whatever. But in fan fiction is completely okay. Don't plagiarize. Don't say that your own. Give credit to where credit is due. But to say, yeah, I wrote the story because I love this character. I put him in this perspective. I wanted to do this, and I wanted to challenge myself as a writer to do so. So that's it. That's just what I wanted to talk about. So I hope you enjoyed. If you're writing stories of your own, share them down below. Let's communicate through YouTube. If you have a story of your own that you've published on a blog, I would love to read it. I love reading other people's writings. I love reading fan fiction, and I think it's so fantastic that other people do the same as I do and compare notes back and forth. So. A quick information. C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, writers of the Chronicles of Narnia and Lord of the Rings series, they actually met weekly, almost daily, and compared notes back and forth of creating their own world, their own mythology, and shared notes back and forth. And I thought that was so cool. And when you find people like that to share notes back and forth, it becomes really interesting. When you start bouncing thoughts back and forth, and it's so cool when people come together and just talk about how do we create a story. So I love telling stories. It's one of my personal passions. I love writing. I do it all the time. I'm doing it today. And then we can all do it together. So if you're working on something, post it down below. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear what people are working on. And yeah, just keep writing, keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, that's it. So guys, hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. I'm going to eat my stuff because I think it's nearly done. So, and I will talk to you guys sometime soon. I don't know when I'm going to post again, but I know that I'll post again sometime because, I'm going to. I want to keep this going. I don't want to quit YouTube because I get busy. So Anyway, guys, hope you have a fantastic day. You'll find me at the same face, same place. Bye-bye.